What is going on, everybody? Happy Tuesday. Bobby Fi back in healthy, ready to do a show about a real slate instead of some nonsense that we had to witness last night. Absolutely ridiculous. I'm a little disappointed I didn't feel better because I think that I would have at least figured out a few lineups that would have been on the, hey, when DiVincenzo's not starting, maybe that's actually a sign there. Oddly enough, still was incredibly high owned on Draftkings even after the information. So, it was one of those slates. It was disgusting. I think I cashed with like 190s in certain terms. I don't know what it was. It was really low, whatever it was. No, I didn't cash with 190s. I cashed with two players, though, combining me for six in a lot of lineups. Anyway, we're on to a bigger slate one today. There's a lot of other things going on in the world right now. I think the best answer for us right now would just to be to win 100K tonight. Or
I like it.
Some of you guys win it. Let's do it.
100K for first. Let's go. And the other thing I wanted to say, shout out to, I don't know, to I feel bad for one of the subscribers. It wasn't that bad, but I went on live yesterday for like a half an hour to the end, and I basically spent 28 minutes like working on this guy's lineup. I don't mean that I made the guy's lineup, but he just kind of made some comments saying, I'm thinking of stacking the Denver game. He wanted to win like a live final seat. So I said, okay, you want to do an exercise? Let's figure it out. Again, I'm not saying whether it's right or wrong to do this, but if you want to do it, let's think of like what kind of tournament it is and what you need to do and what kind of guys you're chalky with. And seriously spent about 20 minutes just kind of going through it with him and building something with him and whatever. And it's kind of a shame because it ended up like everybody ended up getting scratched and the whole thing was a joke, right? But I like doing these live things. I like kind of helping subscribers out where possible. So I am going to try to do a little bit more of that.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think it's a good call, and I think it's really important. The crazy part is we really should try and do it weekend. It's hard today. I'm actually doing a tour of the new stadium for the Rams, deciding my season tickets, whether or not I want to get all of them. And so that should be kind of a fun little tour. So it's unfortunately right after lock today, so it might be a little bit tricky today. But in general, like I've found that the best success I've had has been when we've gone through things at the end of the day. Even with the questions that have come in. I mean, the two tournaments I won two tournaments one for six figures, and I won 80,000 the other night. And both times we did a live show, and we haven't done that many of those live right to lock. So let's keep doing them. Today is going to be they're going to be tricky too, because I think we're going to get late information today. I think we know somewhat right now. I guess for me, going game by game is the best way to go because I think you feel like you've got a better handle on the slate at this moment than I do.
All right, so let's start off with Boston, Indiana. And again, I did look through it, so I am kind of locked in with not necessarily what I want to do, but just what's going on. So the Boston side of things, I mean, I went through this a little bit last night because again, I had very little to sweat last night, so I did have a little bit of time to kind of pre-look at the slate, and I looked at projection a little bit this morning. Boston, I was thinking last night of maybe one or two players, and I kind of reduced it to one. The only guy I really have any interest in is Jack Tatum again, is Jason Tatum. I was thinking about taking a shot at Kemba Walker, but I just wasn't quite able to pull the trigger there. So I guess when you see what the last guy tossed out of my player pool, I guess it would be Kemba Walker, unless I get talked into it. But I do think Tatum is fine, only because, again, he's not projecting that great, but he's just going to be I think, really, really low owned, and I think he's projects well enough that it being a low owned shot, I would take a shot at him. On the Indiana side, though, it's interesting to me because who I liked last night, and I guess I'm thinking this in a good way, is really just not showing up anywhere as being a reasonable play, which means I'm probably going to play him. So the four guys that are going to look good again, I guess, with Brogdon out, are going to be, Aaron Holiday, I suppose, again. Although 4,800 on DraftKings is a little pricey, but I still think he's going to project well, and he does. Sabonis is fine. Miles Turner is going to look okay, and T.J. Warren is going to look good also. Even if you just game log watch, I mean, T.J. Warren's been putting up points such that, 6,000 is very reasonable. Of course, Celtics are not easiest matchup in the world, but I have to say that glutton for punishment, I guess, but give me another shot at Victor Oladipo. We'll try it. We're in for a penny, in for a pound. You know what I mean? But I will say that he has actually been doing better, and you know, like I said, maybe one of these days we're gonna be there when he puts that 50 ball up, and when he's gonna be literally 0% owned, which could be tonight. Would be a nice way to make it happen.
You know, we've got a player I just want to mention real quickly on the Indiana side. We were a little bit ahead of our time, and when everybody was making fun of me for good reason, fine, for recommending Miles Turner, just talking about Miles Turner basically.
Absolutely.
Now he's 7x. He's basically whatever his price was. He's basically 7x or better in like 8 of 9 games. I don't think I'm going to get there tonight, but I don't think it's a bad play with him specifically. My favorite play would probably be Holiday and Oladipo right off at first glance. I don't know on this slate how involved I want to be in this game. I feel like there's better games to attack. I think the Oladipo thing is the high upside play. And by the way, I mean, he only played, what did he play? 27 minutes in that last game. I think you're going to get low ownership on him again. I think some sharp people will get onto him, but you're talking about a guy with a 60-point ceiling, and he hasn't been close to it. I understand all this stuff. We just have to play these, when no one else is going to be playing him, that's the times we got to take some shots. And it's probably worth noting that he took 18 shots in the last game without Brogdon. That's the most shots he's taken all season. He shot 6 of 18 and still put up 32 fantasy points, and he took those 18 shots in 27 minutes. So if we think Oladipo is going to play, he's going to play 32 minutes, right? Or somewhere 30-ish minutes. I think that this is a great spot. And the more I think about it, the more I actually like it. I wish there was some other stuff to like on the other side in this game. I'm fine with Tatum. I think with everybody back, it's actually probably better to maybe take a shot on Kemba. I'm sort of iffy on neither of them. I'm open to both, iffy on them a little bit, but definitely want some exposure to Oladipo in this one. And I'm trying to figure out who they're going to use. I'm trying to look through. This is the part I usually do my research on, but I haven't gotten there yet. I want to see how they played in these past matchups and who got the minutes increase and decrease, because Tice has been really good as a big man this year, but this team plays 2 big men. And I don't really see how either Miles Turner or Sabonis is going to be guarded by, like, Grant Williams doesn't quite work that way. Robert Williams is there, so he kind of can do that. But, maybe he's looking, maybe it's not the right slate, but looking for a incredibly 1 in a million Cantor play or something, or even playing Tice. I'm just sort of considering everything. I think Tice has upside on his minutes, and that's all I got. But I wanted to play one of these guys from the other side. I just not all that excited. I think Tice is a guy I would put in like 10% right now, unless we really if we could creep his minutes up to 32, which feels really possible in a close game, all of a sudden you're talking about a guy who's excellent value. And obviously that's not even accounting for his potential ceiling. So at 5K, I think he's kind of interesting.
I keep this is gonna be a sidebar for like 3 minutes. I keep stats of like all my AAU teams from the last 5 years, and you have like 300 games pretty much. And one of the interesting stats that I'm able to derive because of one of the software programs I use is actually expected points. Meaning what they do is they compare where my kids shot from to the rest of the universe of the people that are of their age, and basically said, okay, if they ran just kind of normal, how many points would they get? Expected points. They do a lot of that in football, I guess, in DFS. I don't know so much in basketball. So I bring that up. You take Oladipo's last game. Like, let's just say that the stat line read 8 for 18 and 205 from 3. That wouldn't even be outside the realm of normal. You know what I mean? That's like a relatively normal stat line, right? Maybe even less than 50% from the field. 2 for 5 from 3. That's kind of like a normal stat line. Even something like that gets him like almost 40 points. So, and if he had gotten that, if he'd gotten 39.5 points, we're like, oh my God, Oladipo smashed, he's back, he's 40% owned. You know what I mean? So it's funny when you have like guys that are shooting like 0 for 5 from 3 or 0 for 8 from 3 or whatever, just how variance can just impact the results of that just a little bit. So I'm perfectly willing to go back with him.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to like this. So what's gonna happen is all of these guys who are middle, anything from like 5K to like 8K, well, they all are gonna look like good plays and be popular at the beginning of the day because we don't have this incredible, like, crazy value. But let's call it speculative at best, the ones we do have. So I think that what happens is, like, we have to account for, okay, what happens if LeBron is gonna be announced out,
Right.
And then there's always the information we don't know. Probably the same thing that happens every day. Everybody floods to the value, tries to stars and scrubs it, which just makes some of these middling guys, doesn't mean you can't go stars and scrubs, but playing more of these guys while they might look popular at the beginning of the day, don't be too worried about it by the end. I mean, I think it was DeRozan and LeVert the other day that early on were projecting to be like 40 and 60% owned. And I think they ended up around 15 and 20% owned because of the way the slate broke down, which obviously that day you really wanted some LeVert because he put up 50 real points, I think, or some crazy number.
There's a guy that we're going to talk about later who's going to be 35 to 40% owned, who's 600, who's just about only 600 less than Oladipo. And I just can't even imagine Oladipo not having a higher ceiling than this particular guy, which we'll get to later. So, this range could be somewhat interesting.
And by the way, don't also keep one other thing in mind. Oladipo tonight, this is what scares me about Holiday tonight. I like Holiday as a player, but the truth is, even actually if Holiday plays, Oladipo may actually be the one in this situation a lot. This is what he used to play. Like, right. They might actually use him as a point guard, especially because they have other guys. Like, you can run the offense in the half court through Sabonis. You don't necessarily need this true point guard out there. So I just think it's interesting to keep an eye on. I don't think that I'm going to get to anybody else, but, we can revisit it at the end. I'm not crazy heavy on that game. I just want to make overall points about this slate. Things are going to change. The way basketball is being right now, and you know what's going to start happening? One of the ways to get ahead of this, I think everybody that's questionable with an illness, if you're going to make that statement about them now, you better be right about them having an illness. That's the one, I'm sorry, like the
that's a good point.
Coronavirus angle. Like, how is someone going to be questionable with an illness then playing? At some point, that's going to start upsetting people.
That's a good point.
And calling the people out on their BS. So I think we've got to start assuming if you're questionable with, in quotes, illness.
And you're doubtful.
You're doubtful, in my opinion. Or at least if you're not, you're going to be in the next few days because as this keeps going, it's just going to get worse and worse anyway.
So Knicks Washington, as we just kind of press on, this is a 230-point-ish total. And so it's certainly something that might be interesting. So again, I want to kind of do it this way. Like last night when I looked at this, I was thinking, okay, who from the Knicks is going to have upside in this particular type of matchup, projections aside. So the guys I came up with are, your normal guys, like Randall's going to be obviously a good play. And then I just was kind of into Elf Payton here. He gets a lot of steals. He's just active. And I think that he could be a good play. And then Mitchell Robinson is the more active big man. I think he could be a good play. But the guy, again, I don't know if I'm going to get to him, and he's another 50x100 guy, whatever. But maybe this could be an RJ Barrett type game. I don't know. So I will take shots on all these guys. And then on Washington, I will play Bradley Beal. That's for sure. But I don't think I want to play Troy Brown as chalk. And that's what I'm kind of looking at right now is Troy Brown is really high owned. I just don't think I want that. I just kind of prefer him when he's lower owned. I don't think I need to rely on Troy Brown getting there for me. And even Thomas Bryant. I mean, Thomas Bryant looks good, I have to say, but I guess if you need a 3,900 guy, is going to be one of my favorite 3,900 guys, if that makes sense. So, but again, I don't know if Thomas Bryant, a high ownership, is going to be where I go. Where I will go, I will take. I mean, if you want to look at a freaking game log, that not no one will play, but just no one is going to be happy with, is Rui Hachimura, 40 minutes, 0 for 8 from the field. Yeah. So you know what? I'll sign on for. I don't even need the 40 minutes. I'll take 33 and be just fine taking a shot at him at under 5K at low ownership. So I will go right back to him.
Yeah, I'm going back to him a little bit too, but I'm a little worried about just how it feels very rookie Wallish type of thing to me, what I'm seeing with him lately. I believe, I'm a fan of his game. I like him a lot as a player, but he definitely hasn't been the same guy. He's not as assertive as he was. It's reflected in his numbers even. Basically, I'm just not. I can't. I want to be more there. I actually think Troy Brown is gonna. Well, if his current ownership is accurate, I'm in. I'll take him at this ownership. I don't mind that.
What are you showing him at? What are you showing his ownership at?
Right around 25 to 30%.
Oh, okay, that's good. That's all right for you.
I don't love it, but it's a big slate. I don't need to worry too much. And if I need value, which again, like, what's going to happen is some more obvious value might shrink him. And let's say he's 15%, then I'm much more interested. It's just at those minutes, this time, and we really do need to find out what's going to happen with Jerome Robinson here.
Right, that's a big deal, actually.
Yeah, like if we don't know if Jerome Robinson's out, then I feel much more comfortable saying Troy Brown. right now, I don't know if I'm there. And one guy we didn't mention, if you're going to play a guy who can shoot you into a tournament, and by the way, has 30 or more in 4 of his last 5, easily, maybe he's not the guy who's going to win your tournament, but gets that nice 6 and 7X, maybe even 8X, is Bertans. I think, especially if Robinson's out, these minutes are very fluid. They can go to Bertans, they can go to Brown. All of them will get an uptick for sure. Bryant, I'm really struggling with because I need to know what's happening. Like, if you tell me he plays 28 minutes, obviously I'm in. If you tell me he plays 20, I'm having a hard time. Everybody's sort of projecting him for right in between that. I don't really know where that logic is coming from entirely because he hasn't done it. Let's see, coming back from the injury, he's been 20. He did 24 and 16, and then before that, he hadn't hit 20 in like a month. It's interesting. Like, I like playing guys like him because he can go out there and put up 40 out of the blue. But if people are going to be all over it, I don't mind jumping in a different direction. I just don't know that I need to worry about ownership so much because this slate is going to be. There's a lot of plays, and one guy who I'm prioritizing in this game, the guys who I have the most interest in this game are Mitch Robinson and Elfrid Payton, and I like Randall too. But Mitch Robinson is probably worth noting that like half the games he's played basically since the All-Star break with the new coach and all that, you'd be happy with. And he hasn't really hurt you that badly when he doesn't get there. Like, not that he's going to win you a tournament, but you might still cash for that lineup. And meanwhile, with that, he carries a giant upside in a dream matchup. And, even at 26 minutes, we've seen this guy put up 50 fantasy points plenty of times. So I'm okay with him. I really like Elf Payton in this matchup. I think he's the one I have the most interest in. And I actually, as of right now, have him as sort of a priority play. He plays really well at this pace. It's almost like going overlooked that he's been really good and they're playing him a million minutes. Outside of the Houston that really, really weird Houston game that he ended up getting sat because Barrett and all the other guys were playing so great against Houston and they were up by whatever. When he came in, basically, he came back in, they were up by 25 and they blew the lead, so they took him out.
Yeah.
It just happens sometimes. He's going to play probably 30 plus minutes tonight. And if you even just game log watch, we'd be happy with most of his scores. Not to mention he's getting a giant boost against a team that is one of the worst against the players who play like him. This is the game that has triple-double potential upside. I don't like him as much with Barrett there, obviously, and I kind of like Barrett, but I think it's prioritizing those 3 are the big ones and giving Elf the nod over the other 2.
I'm in. I like it. I like the game, obviously. Now, you didn't mention your thoughts on Beal.
So I don't know where I'm going to end up prioritizing him yet. I would say that if I'm going to end up playing him, I would like to play him with – it's going to happen again. He's going to be low-owned again, and it's just he really has to crush now. I'm struggling with it. Right now, I'm going to have more than the field. We all know that, but like, I just don't.
Who do you like more, him or Westbrook?
I can't even rate those things. I like Westbrook better, but I can't even rate that because what if LeBron doesn't play? How do we not play Davis?
Absolutely.
So I guess you could maybe you could play 2 of these guys. But I don't think so.
Why do we think LeBron's not playing, by the way?
He's questionable.
Okay.
He was questionable yesterday. I'm just saying it's a weird time and climate. I'm going to take all these questionables seriously. Davis I won't take as seriously because he's always questionable.
Right. Right.
LeBron's got a groin thing, which is the injury he had last year. So that kept him out of, 40 games or whatever it was, 30 games. So maybe that's the time you would probably give LeBron a break. Here's the flip side of that. He's on this incredible, like, out of the nowhere MVP run. Like, I'm first of all think Giannis has been the best player and as of this moment still deserves the MVP. But he just put it like as a smackdown on the other 2 best teams probably in the league. And he's now becoming like the trendy favorite for MVP all of a sudden. And that may not matter to all players. LeBron, it matters. LeBron cares more about these things than anybody else. We talked about it recently. You saw him play great against Giannis the other day. You saw him play great. Anytime they're an underdog in a game, he always puts it in. You saw him play great Zion's first time in LA because he wants to show his boss. Like that stuff matters to LeBron. It really does. So I don't get the feel. Because of it, I'm sort of iffy whether he'll sit. But then he's got the whole narrative of not wanting to play in front of no fans, and I don't know. I just don't really. I feel very up in the air on it. I need to do more research later, but as of right now, I'm treating him as legitimately questionable.
Yeah. Okay. Well, hopefully we find out sooner than later. I don't think we're going to find out then. If he's legitimately questionable, I don't think we're going to find out before FanDuel Live.
I hope. Well, yeah, we'll see. I think we might. You never know. But I'm hopeful. But I would tend to agree with that.
I mean, I'll play Davis if that's the case. Blind on FanDuel.
Yeah, just play him blind. But Davis is a good play anyway. Like,
Absolutely.
It's not like I don't think LeBron's even really in play tonight. But I think Davis is extremely in play regardless. And if LeBron's out, I just think. I mean, that's an awesome play. I don't really know what you do there.
All right. So Rockets against Houston. I have no preference between Harden and Westbrook. I like to think that I want one of them. I honestly, I think the lineups where I could fit in Harden, I'll play Harden. I think the lineups that I can't fit in Harden, I'll play Westbrook. You know what I mean? I don't think that I have any real strong opinion between the two of them, although I think it's kind of irresponsible not to play one of them. It's a 240 million point total. You know what I mean? I think that one of them is going to score 60, maybe one of them scores 70. Who knows? Covington would be my next guy. I don't think I'm going to go to any of these other Houston guys today. Mm-hmm. Minnesota, again, you'd think that you'd have these good plays, but my favorite is probably Beasley, and second favorite is probably Russell. I know you're not a big Russell guy, but
No, I like him tonight.
Yeah. Oh, okay. It's going to be Houston. It's going to be, it's going to be shooting practice. You know what I mean? So Russell's pretty good at shooting practice. So we'll. So I like both those guys. I think it's, I don't want to say kind of obvious, but I wouldn't actually mind both of them together, running with one of the Houston guys. I think it's just the total is just too big to ignore. So I'm gonna stick with those. I don't think I'm gonna go off the board with any of the other Minnesota guys now.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out a few things about the Houston side of this. So Eric Gordon didn't play on Saturday, even though he was announced playing. That's what happened? I mean, I didn't play Saturday, so I wasn't familiar with it.
I don't remember it.
I think it does actually make somewhat of a difference at 3.7. I mean, first of all, Westbrook becomes a better play if he's out. And then I think he's actually vaguely in play if he's in.
Do you think Westbrook's is a better play than Harden if
Yes.
Gordon is out?
I think Westbrook's a better play than Harden anyway, personally.
Do you think it makes a big difference if Gordon's out?
I think it helps, yeah. I mean, you could argue that it helps Harden too, but the guy just can't make a shot. The only game we would have been happy with lately from him would have been the game with Westbrook was missing. And, I mean, I don't know, man. I'm leaning more on the Westbrook train, especially given the discount. And I like both of them. I like this matchup a lot. I like even reaching a little bit for guys who are like more safe plays, but not – I think Covington is in play. I'm looking at this, again, ceiling environment, 246.5 total. That's ridiculous. Houston just lost to basically everybody under the sun. I'm not going to sit here and be convinced that they should be somehow, for some reason, a 12.5 point favorite against Minnesota. Like, they're streaky. I'm telling you, this team is incredibly streaky. And I think Russell, as an unowned guy tonight, which he's going to be, I really like him. Like, I'm kind of confused at even the projections on him. I don't like him specifically, like, matched up like with Westbrook and that. Just the pace of the game and the number of shots that they're going to be out there. It would be really nice to pick a big guy who we could get a bunch of rebounds from on Minnesota, because that's what obviously the problem for Houston is. But as of right now, it's just I have like a tiny bit of interest in everybody because, again, ceiling type environment. Beasley and Juancho, I think, are my favorite plays alongside of Russell. I like all of those guys, and I even have interest in Kogi just as a value play, unless we hear about and Culver if we don't have other value. You can make an argument that a guy like Culver, whose minutes can fluctuate because of the situation, like that's sort of an argument for fading guys like Troy Brown if they got to be, you know what I mean? Like, he's kind of an interesting pivot even, and no one's going to play him. Not that it's a great player or anything. I love this game environment. I want exposure. So I have a lot of 10 to 20% on the Minnesota side. And then I want to be pretty heavy on Westbrook with some love for Harden. Now, I'll definitely be ahead of the field on Westbrook. I'll probably be near the field with Harden.
Okay. Cleveland, Chicago might end up being the real pain in the neck for me, but we'll see. So first of all, on the Cleveland side, again, I don't know where they are. Let's first start with asking how many minutes Drummond is being projected for, because one site still has him at 24, which is ridiculous. So are some of the other sites?
I've got two sites with him at 30 and 32.
That makes more sense. Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess Drummond in that case is a pretty decent center play on DraftKings. He's going to be better on FanDuel, but he's fine. The other Cleveland guys, I mean, I don't know, man. I really wasn't going to play any of these guys on DraftKings today. I think that, I mean, Dellavedova's priced up a little bit. Osmond's even priced up a little bit. Nance is up 6,400. Love 8,100. I don't know if I'm going to get to them. I think for me it would end up being just Drummond and maybe not even that. That would be where I'm at. The part that's going to get me is the Chicago side, because the Chicago side, you have, you know, Shaq Harrison being the chalkiest guy on the slate, and you have to respect in one sense, you have to respect the minutes that he's been getting and the requisite performance that he's put up in those minutes. I mean, he has 30 points, 48 points, 30 points, and he's 5K, you know, against a team that's really not good defensively. So on the one hand, yeah, I mean, he's projecting to be probably the best value on the slate, maybe the best overall play on the slate, but it's a lot of players, man, on the slate. And if he's really going to get that much ownership, I mean, there are ways for him to fail, you know, marketing slowly but surely getting more action. Otto Porter is probably going to slowly but surely get some more action. You know, Kobe White is going to start today, apparently. I don't know if I don't know how many lineups I'm going to play. I'm certainly not going to lock in somebody like Shaq Harrison.
Yeah.
But, you know, in fairness, he's just rated to be a good play. But other guys, I mean, Wendell Carter Jr., we'll talk about FanDuel Wendell Carter Jr. in a minute, but Wendell Carter Jr. back to 4,600, take another shot at him. Kobe White. I think actually that I'd be less inclined to play Kobe White. I think that he might get a little bit too much of a boost, both projection-wise and ownership-wise, because of the starting role, where I think that he was getting pretty much the same amount of minutes off the bench. So maybe I won't go to him, though it's kind of a tough matchup to give up. You know what I mean? They're playing against Cleveland. Denzel Valentine, I don't need to go back to him. I think this idea that Porter and marketing are gonna start coming back and doing a little better. Like, marketing wasn't bad in his last game, and I don't know if I'm going to get to those guys. Maybe that's the mad scientist play. Just go to either Otto Porter or marketing. But I think that the whole Chicago side is really annoying to me.
So I actually think it's really I love it, because if you're going to have multi-entry lineups, Shaq Harrison's the only player on the Chicago side of relevance that I'm going to have lower than the field on. Everybody else is going to be ahead of the field. I think this is hey, let's show we finally got our guys together. You know what I mean? Let's start giving. And by the way, you see 17 shots from Otto Porter in 25 minutes the other day. Hard not to have some interest. You know what I mean? I'll be ahead of the field on him. I will be way ahead of the field on Wendell Carter. It's just a matter of time. And I'm a tournament player. I don't need a game log thing. I don't care about it. I know who this guy is. He may not be the best version of himself right now. If you're playing tournaments and we're going to get this guy who could, you know, literally was putting up 60 fantasy point games last year at this ownership, at this price, at no ownership or little ownership, I'm just having a hard time fading that. I feel similarly about Markkanen too. Although I'm a little higher on Carter, I definitely think like Markkanen at, you know, these minutes are like, there's 28 written in for Carter. Well, Carter's coming back from injury and he played 28 last time. Don't you think there's a chance that he plays 30 to 32? Or, you know, Otto Porter could play 26 to 28 or maybe even 30. What if Markkanen plays 32? That's on the board. It's in, while they're bringing him back slowly, they're not bringing him back that slowly. I mean, he played 26 in the last game. This is not a back-to-back that any of them are on, not the second of a back-to-back that anybody's on. So I think the name of the game is get ahead of every bull but Shaq Harrison, but also play some Shaq Harrison. I don't want to, it doesn't feel right to me on these giant slates to usually lock in guys like that. But he makes a lot of sense practically, but I'm still going to be below the field. He might be in a third of my lineups at the moment. I'm not going to put him in, 60% of my lineups. And even that third, I might turn into like 20%.
We've also made it a point the last month or two to remind everybody that centers against Andre Drummond have been very, very, very lucrative. So it's another boost to the Wendell Carter Jr. play.
Absolutely. And to go along with that, that's your run back for me. Just play Drummond. he's going to put up. He put up his last two games, 53 and 60, 57.
Yeah, 60 was overtime, but he had 55 before overtime.
Okay, so 50, whatever, 50 plus. I mean, this is the Bulls. They don't rebound, even with Carter. Like they had the same problem last year. I love a low-owned Andre Drummond tonight, and I don't even mind playing Dellavedova. If they're going to throw him out there for 40 minutes, I'll play him, man.
Do you see his assist numbers?
From recently, yeah, they've been spectacular.
He has 11 and 14 assists in the last two games.
He played 44 and 31 minutes in those two games too.
45 and 31. Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, just based on that alone, if other value doesn't open up, I have some interest. But he's not like a priority. I'll be above the field, but not like much.
Okay.
But Drummond is I do think Drummond is the run back.
Okay. So Dallas San Antonio is very surprised the way things kind of shook out overnight. So I was very 100% sure what was going to happen ownership-wise and projection-wise heading into today, and I was dead wrong. What I was dead right about was on the Dallas side. Once again, Luka's going to look like the best play, and I'm going to end up playing it, and I'm not going to play Porzingis, and Porzingis coming off the bad game is probably going to get 70. So I'm just going to let you guys know what's going to happen, but I'm not going to do it. So I'm going to probably play Luka. He's very expensive, but I don't care. He's fine by me, and I'm going to play him. I don't like anybody else on Dallas. Porzingis, I'm not going to play, but again, we talked about this. He's been really, really good. Last game, he had his first bad game in like 2 months, it seems like.
Yeah.
So he certainly can come back and have a good game, and I'm not going to go after you for playing him, but just think that other guys at 88, 8900 are probably better. DFS would be the value guy I would go to if I had to. Hopefully I don't have to. So where I'm a little shaken, whatever, is on the San Antonio side. I knew that DeRozan was going to be a good play. I know he's going to project all that very well. They just refused to move him up with LMA out. And I think LMA is out again. He was hoping to play, but I think he did announce he was not going to play again today. So I knew that he was going to – DeRozan was going to end up being good value, and he's going to be chalky and all this stuff. The guy I was expecting to be like huge chalk, which he's just not, and he's not projecting well either, is Derek White. I mean, I really thought that with DeJounte Murray out that he would be given the keys to this game and just play upwards of 30 minutes and just, we could just lock him in. And I have to really think about it. Maybe I really shouldn't think about it. I just stick to my guns and say, what am I doing here? I mean, no DeJounte Murray, play Derek White, and just rock the house, He's certainly not projecting all that great, and I'll just give you that bit of disclaimer. But I don't know. I like him. And then the other guys are still looking like really good values. Like Lyle still looks good. Rudy Gay still looks good. Are people playing Bryn Forbes? Is that what's going to happen? And Patty Mills at 3,100. Is that why Derek White's not going to get the ownership? Maybe, but I don't know. I'll try Derek White.
Yeah, I like that. I think White would be the preferred one, but you could play all of them. I mean, any of them it is a boost enough with these guys gone. They like to play all the guards anyway. Patty Mills will stand out right now because we have lack of other value, and he's probably got a higher minute ceiling than he did before. Bryn Forbes could easily play 32 minutes instead of. I honestly am surprised they have him for as few as they do. Derek White could easily play 32 minutes. So all of these guys could. You could make that same argument. Are people just going to ignore that there's a chance that Lonnie Walker gets some more run here? I know he's coming off of a game he didn't even play, but because of his shins, but he was in the low 20s. He even had some games in the mid 20s before. I'm just sort of thinking about off the board, maybe a wrong slate, but I could see Lonnie Walker even getting some of those minutes, which sort of makes me like the other guys a little bit less, even though I think they're all in play. I'm just not in love with them. Derek White would be my favorite, and DeRozan is my second favorite player in this game. I'm not going to go for the everybody's going to play me Trey Lyles, I don't think. I like other players that price, and we've already discussed a few of them. And I don't think I'm going to go with Rudy Gay either at 5,100. Maybe I'll get a little share or two, but I'm not going to – they're not my priorities as of this moment unless something happens later that's going to change my builds. I don't really see I don't think it's as necessary. And DeRozan, I like him here. I like the spot. I like everything about it. I feel like if the ownership gets too high, and I think the early projections might be a little bit higher than they really are, then you can start looking other places. There's a lot of guys you can play on this slate. You don't need his because even if he gets there, like most of the time he gets there and he's like, you get your nice sales 6x. He's not going to break a tournament of a slate usually. He's not going to go out there and score 70 very often.
I'm a little concerned about not playing Lyles just because of the minutes that he's put in there.
He doesn't do anything.
I guess so. I'm looking at it. I guess he really doesn't do all that.
He had those nice games in the up-paced match against Orlando and then the game against Indy. But, like, I mean, if you look at it, like.
I guess. Yeah, the reason why I didn't come
Lonnie Walker against Cleveland, you can only come up with 30 fantasy points. Come on.
Yeah, I guess so. Lonnie Walker, but I had him presumed out in my projections.
Okay, he might be, and if he's out, by the way, it does make me like.
Oh, he's just questionable.
Yeah, but, it makes me him playing is like I don't know if I'll have any lineups with Rudy Gay if he plays. I just think I think minutes could get spread out differently.
Yeah, he got those overtime minutes because it's so funny. So he was 3 for 9 from 3. I think he had like 3 for 3 down the stretch, which got him the overtime run. I'm pretty sure that's what happened.
Yeah.
I've been talked off of Lyles by you. That's good. I like that.
I'm not gonna say I will not play him at all.
Hey, I'm a big boy. I can do what I want. But you gave a good reason why I shouldn't. Sometimes I listen, sometimes I don't. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
All right. What do you think of Luka?
Yeah. Luka is one of the. I like Luka as a better spend up than some of the other guys. I think with Westbrook, I would have those guys like as. Those guys in Davis are sort of all in a similar tier for me, and I'm going to have to make some decisions. There's no question I'm going to play 25% Porzingis tonight. I don't care if Eve has a bad game. I actually read a thing that was talking about that he was out partying the night before that game, actually. So just something worth keeping in mind. You know, it's a Sunday game that happens sometimes in the NBA. When guys have bad games, typically on Saturdays and Sundays, especially when they have got like personalities like Kristaps, I don't worry about it as much. The guy's a partier. He's always been a nightlife guy. You look at his last few bad games, they've all been on weekends. Like, I can't even make this stuff up. It's been 4 out of the last 5 bad games he's had has been on weekend days. So I'm all on board with this. I'm not going to change now. I wish he had forward eligibility. I'm not loading him up. He's not in all my lineups, but I'm going to be heavy on him. I just don't – I'm sorry, man. It's not – I can't stop what my eyes have showed me every single night. And I like the matchup. And I don't mind Dorian Finney-Smith. Again, you're talking about minutes. Like, I mean, if he's going to play the minutes, if he's going to be fine to play, and I think he will be, I'm fine with it as currently as the value stands. But I'm just going to say there's probably going to be better value to open up sometime.
So I'm pretty confident. Maybe I'm wrong. I was pretty confident that we're going to be on different sides of this Orlando-Memphis game. So I'll just get rid of my take first. So
can I just ask one thing before we start? What happened to the total of this game? What was going on?
What do you mean?
Feel like it's like 10 points too low.
Okay, so I'm now 100% sure we're going to end up on different sides of this game. So Orlando-Memphis. This is my take after careful consideration. I think that my favorite guy would be Vooch, but I think he has a tough matchup with Valanciunas. I think that my favorite guy on Memphis would be Valanciunas, and he has a tough matchup with Vooch. And I just don't think I'm going to go with Morant against Orlando's defense. I'm probably just going to not play anybody from this game.
So here's what I'm trying to figure out. So Orlando has now played in, I think, every game they've played since the All-Star break now has hit the over.
Yep.
That at least was the case going into the last game, which was a weekend game against Houston. They won by 20, so maybe that game didn't hit the over, but it was a fast-paced game. So why are these totals where they are? I can just already say, guys, I'm doing a BetQL live show at 4 Eastern. I'm going to just say right now, this is a game I'll be betting the over on. I'm not really sure.
I thought you knew it. I thought you were about to say, I know what Sheets is going to say. They played over 8 games in a row, and this is like a ridiculously low spread. How could this name not be over? So the under's complete lock.
No. I'm not going to just make weird plays, but
not weird. That's the way life works, man. This is the way contrarian betting works. It'll drive you crazy, but I don't know. Well, maybe you shouldn't have me on the BetQL show. We're going to drive people bananas.
No, it'd be hilarious. All right. So I'm kind of struggling with this game, to be honest with you.
Well, if you think it's going over, it's easy. We'll play Morant. You know what I mean? We'll start with Morant, right?
But here's the problem. Well, I'll tell you. this is a weird thing, and people could argue this is just variance. I don't think that it is. I think it happens a lot with young teams. I don't know what that's like. There is a reason. If you look at almost every game Memphis plays is a blowout, one way or the other. They either get smoked or they smoke somebody. Every now and then you'll get the one close game in. I think they had one game that's been within 10 points over their last 15. It's a strange thing, but it makes sense for young teams. You know, I'm kind of struggling with it, to be honest with you, because I feel like it's sort of skewed all the numbers, and it makes all the players on Memphis a little bit more valuable than maybe they're getting credit for. I guess I like Morant. I want to like more from Orlando is the truth. I mean, right now, only guys I've gotten at like 10% are Terrence Russ and Vooch. And I don't really want anybody. I mean, I guess Fultz would be the next guy. I actually kind of like Colt Fultz a little bit. So
he'd be the one guy I would take from Orlando just because of the up pace.
He looks good too. Like, he looked really good the other night. He didn't play well yesterday, but or Sunday, I should say. Yeah, struggling with it, man. I think Ja is your best player.
You like Aaron Gordon at all? If you're gonna play this,
mildly, like I don't know, man. It's probably like oddly enough, you know, I like the over. I don't really know who I'm playing other than Morant. Like nobody else really makes sense to me. So I guess it's just Morant for me. Maybe you could make an argument for I guess Melton, but then it just feels like trying to play somebody. He's been solid. Probably not the right slate for me. Not Josh Jackson on this slate for me. If this guy Concher gets a few more minutes, one of these days he's going to help somebody. I mean, he's actually been pretty solid, but this is not the right slate for him. Yeah, I guess it's just a little bit of Ja, a little bit of Vooch, and a little bit of Fultz, and a little bit of Ross maybe. But like you're talking about very small amounts, 5 to 10%. I don't really want to focus on that game.
Oh, okay. All right. So Phoenix, Portland, the big news that's still pending out of this game is whether DeAndre Ayton plays. And the only guy the main guy who it's going to affect if he plays is going to be Aaron Baines. So if, this is not anything extravagant, but if he does not play again this game, Ayton, Baines remains a good play. Playing 30 plus minutes and doing his thing. I mean, I still remember back 3 weeks into the season where you tweeted, boy, I mean, he continues on this pace, he can play in the All-Star game. I mean, the guy has skills and the guy can play, and he's shown it in the chances he's had when he's been able to start. So if Ayton does in fact miss, then Baines is a play. If Ayton starts, sorry, but you can't play Baines. Now, if they announce Ayton has a minutes limit or something like that, then your brain could explode trying to figure it out. But the guy who I really like, whether he plays or not, is going to be Booker. I'm going to like Booker regardless of whether Ayton plays. And part of it is, yeah, if Ayton is out, Booker gets more natural usage. But I do also think that when Ayton plays, Booker can run his pick and rolls a little bit more efficiently. So I don't think it hurts him that much if Ayton is back. So I think Booker is going to be the guy that I play one way or the other from this game. The other guys who are showing up as decent plays with Ayton out are Bridges, who looks fine, Rubio, who looks fine, Javon Carter somehow looks fine. I have to do research on that.
Well, it's a little bit of that one feels key to me.
Yeah, I know. And Saric again. If Ayton is out, if Ayton plays, I might end up just playing Booker. If Ayton is in, I might end up just playing Booker. Ayton is out, I'll play Booker and probably Baines.
Yeah, I love Baines, but I don't think at this price that I feel like I need to play him, even if Ayton's out. And
okay.
But I get it. Like, I mean, he's been good, obviously, in the last couple games. The guy I have the most interest in on the Phoenix side, because it's a really good matchup, the way they've played this year, especially, is for Rubio, whether Ayton plays or not. Well, sure, he does. Technically, you could say, oh, he just put up 72 in a game where Ayton didn't play. Well, he was putting up 60s and 50s with Ayton on the court. I think he's fine. I don't think it hurts him as much as people think. His projection is still going to be extremely strong. He's going to be one of those guys who's low owned, and it's really just because we think, oh, Ayton's back, he shouldn't. But he's actually the guy who I like the most in this game well, on this side by quite a bit. My favorite play and like one of my favorite plays on the entire slate is Damian Lillard. It's the problem I'm running into with that group I like at the upper tier, that as much as I like those guys, I think I like Lillard a little bit better. I think that he's also, we have initially more ownership on him than I thought, but he's going to play the minutes. I'm not worried about how poorly he's been playing. It's Damian Lillard. He'll figure it out. Still some semi must-win territory. The only thing that worries me a little bit, he's not the kind of guy who gives up, but it feels like a time where they're almost a team that's given up. And I think honestly, though, it partly looks like that because he's just played poorly. And, I don't know. I like Lillard. I'm going to play him at 9,100. It just feels silly. I won't have any Whiteside. Sorry, my standard thing. And I know he's been really good this year and all that stuff. I'm playing Kristaps some. I like Dame at the same price, a different position. I like some of the other spend ups, and I'm just not going to get to Whiteside personally. I love Dame. I really do. I think Dame is he's going to explode at some point soon, and I would love to be there when he does.
Yeah, I didn't do the Portland side, but I think Lillard is I think he's actually clearly the best play around that price range, if that means anything. But what is in that price range really?
Whiteside, Porzingis.
Yeah.
There's not. Mostly it's not really that range. Sabonis. Yeah. Those are the type of guys. But then you get into there's the guys just above him is where you really run into issues, or just beneath him. So that's what I'm having a tough time with. To me, playing Booker with everyone there, assuming that, well, I guess not everyone because we still don't have Oubre, but we're playing Booker if Ayton's there, doesn't feel as good to me as playing Lillard. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm kind of into just, me, I'm just going to play both of them.
That's fine. That's a fine way to go. I just am not finding myself as much Booker because I want to play Dame with a Westbrook, Luka, or one of the other big guys, Anthony Davis, who's probably going to be the most natural combination for me to play the two of them. Also, it allows you. I will just say this: these kind of slates, that late pivot ability is really important. So if you do play these guys, you are getting a little extra added bonus because we have some question marks. We have a lot of things that we've found. We've got a lot of late news recently. So the later we can, delay, if we really like the spot, we should give the tiebreakers to these guys in the later games.
I would like to say, in the interest of fairness, and I happen to like Whiteside. So
yeah, of course, I know you do.
We'll agree to disagree on that one.
No, look, the matchup's good. Obviously, I can go into it. It's just I'm just looking at who else I'm playing, and I really don't see where I'm playing him.
Yeah, the only thing that will prevent me from playing Whiteside is that I really love Lillard. I don't want to spend on both of them.
Right, exactly. You don't want to. I don't think it's quite the matchup where you need to spend and play in the same lineup. Although, if you'll have pivot ability late, and we'll get into it in just a second, but just keep that in mind.
All right, so I have the Clippers, Golden State as the next game. So, I actually have a couple of guys I might want to play. I might be interested in a low, I think low owned Kawhi Leonard. Oh, there it is. There's the other 9,200 guy. I was wondering who else 9,200. So while I prefer Lillard, if you're going to get me Kawhi Leonard at under 10%, I might have to try it. Yeah, you have to worry about all the stuff that goes along with being a 12-point favorite. But Golden State's been rough, man. They've been keeping games close. They've been playing decently considering they don't have many basketball players on their team. And now they got Curry back, so it's or at least in some sense. So I think that Kawhi is an interesting little 10%er. Paul George, you want to come back and play him again, 7,700? Maybe I try him also. So, but that's all from the Clippers. So on Golden State, there's one guy that looks really, really good, and I'll tell you that we used to make fun of this guy, but Marquise Chris is playing well, and he's playing minutes.
We made fun of him, but we also made money out of him. We had some of those days in Phoenix where he was bad shot sometimes, and other times he would just crush for you at no ownership.
Yeah. But he looks like a really, really good center play that's not in the same price range as some of these other guys. I think that if you don't want to play Wendell Carter Jr. 4,600, or if you don't want to spend up for some of those other centers, I think that you could play Marquise Chris, and the Clippers have not been have been a team that we've liked to attack with centers. So I think that this is a very reasonable play here, and whatever ownership they think they're going to get on him, just the fact that it's one of those late games, I just think he's just going to get kind of overlooked here. I really do. So I think that if he becomes low owned, he becomes a tremendous play, if you want the truth. And the other guy, look, there are guys that are showing up that I'm just not going to play, like Michael Mulder and Juan Toscano-Anderson. I'm just not going to do it. But I might, if I'm going to play Leonard, maybe I'll take a shot at our old hated guy at Wiggins at 7,400. I don't know. I'm not discounting him. So I think this is kind of a sneaky little game. It's not, it's a spread that might keep people away, and it's a late game, so it might keep people away. And people are going to play late games. Maybe they'll play this Portland Phoenix game a little more, or play the Anthony Davis game a little bit more. And I think that all these guys in this game are going to be lower owned. So I'm going to try it probably. I'll probably try a little of Kawhi, maybe a little of Paul George, and certainly going to play a decent amount of Marquise Chris.
Yeah, I'm a little less interested. I'm fine with Chris, but I don't think I'm going to prioritize him tonight. It definitely shows up well projection-wise. Should be solid, just not the play for me. I like other centers. Steph, I would give the edge to in terms of the guys I would play in this game.
Yeah, what are we expecting from him, or what do you?
28 minutes. I think it's just going to be that 28 minutes that probably has maybe a 30-minute ceiling, like in certain games. Probably not going to be there yet, but I think that at 7,800, like you can still get away with taking a shot on him. It's not ideal. You're not going to play a bunch of them. You're going to throw him into a lineup or two if you want to play, either Kawhi or PG on the other side. So I have a very strong take on that. I'm all over Paul George today.
Okay.
So if I can get 2 spend up ishes and Paul George, which we've had the value to do lately, we don't have so much of it today, but that feels like a good little mix to me. I think Paul George is ready to be unleashed. I mean, the minute fluctuations with him a lot. I mean, that game against Houston, for example, he was going to put up 45 or 50. I promise you. It just he might have played 38 minutes in that game. They just beat the hell out of him too quickly. They've done that a lot.
The Laker game, he was great. He had not only that, he had I think 30 to 33 fantasy points in the first half.
He was great in that game, and that's him. He's a great player. He's too good for where his price is on both sites, and I will definitely prioritize Paul George as of right now. Now, it could change if we get a bunch of value where I might want to take 3 spend-ups and not play a guy in this kind of game environment. That could get a little ugly, even though I sort of like you think this game may stay a little closer, especially, they're playing in front of their home fans, and they've this new stadium, and Steph's there, and a lot of energy for next year for them. Like, I don't know. I think this is the kind of game where I could see them battling. So,
is this the first in a back-to-back for the Clippers for some reason?
You know what? I actually haven't checked that, but I don't think that matters at all, really.
I was just wondering if this is the type of game that they really are going to run Paul George out for 34. You know what I mean?
But that's not what they do. They just sit the guy another day. It's not like they're going to. I mean, they're not like they're going to. They will not. I don't think I've seen them once limit either of these guys in the front end of a back-to-back and then play. The last back Paul George played was a month ago.
I'm just saying they've been holding him to like 30 minutes, just kind of like whatever. Since
they haven't been doing that. People keep saying that, and it's just factually inaccurate. Oh. They've not been holding the 30 minutes. They've been beating the hell out of every team they play. And if there's one guy you give a break to in the situation, it's the guy coming off injury. I mean, you look at Kawhi's minutes; they're not different from Paul George's. They're actually not different from Paul George's. They're basically the same exact minutes. And I'll take the discount on the guy who they might lean a little bit more on the offensive end tonight. I actually like Paul George a significant amount more than Kawhi, but I don't mind taking a shot on Kawhi. I just think for me it's Paul George, and I'm going to do the stupid man's thing and just play a little Pat Beverly. Just another guy I believe. I mean, look, he's been terrible. I know the reality of who he is. He's going to play. The minutes are fine. At 3,700, if we don't get other value, he's a guy I would definitely consider. And yeah, that's probably it for me. I don't want to get into. Clippers they have a lot of guys who can score now, and in this kind of a game, it's not somewhere I'd usually like someone. I just feel like we're getting one last chance before Paul George gets back to that 8,500 range, that we can keep playing this guy until he's in that range, I think, pretty easily.
Okay. Brooklyn, LA, we've kind of alluded to what's going on here. The fact that there is a chance that LeBron sits. So first of all, if LeBron does not sit, I actually like I think I like AD better anyway.
Yeah.
I prefer AD to LeBron if LeBron sits, if LeBron plays. If LeBron sits, obviously, then AD is kind of the lock. But remind me again, like if LeBron sits, we got to be prepared for this. So if LeBron sits, the guys that usually get bumps are Rondo, right?
Rondo, Davis, and then
Well, Davis for sure, but I mean the other guys. Like
it's just
Kuzma,
everybody
maybe.
else. It's everybody else becomes speculative plays. That's the truth. There's no automatic answer to that. Markieff Morris probably would be interesting, but even that doesn't feel good. Like in Kyle Kuzma, like there's not an easy answer to that question because they've done different things. They don't really need to do any of those things. They don't really have anything to play for.
Right. So on the Brooklyn side, I only like one guy from the side, and it's probably not going to be who you think. First of all, we have to talk about the center situation at Brooklyn between DeAndre Jordan and Jared Allen. I think it's – I don't know. I think it's – we don't exactly know what the new coach is going to do.
He
right?
started DeAndre Jordan in the first game, which is a pretty bad sign for him and a pretty bad sign for their franchise.
Yeah, but I think that's going to happen again. I think that I'm not going to play either of them, if you want to know the truth, in this game. But it is something to look for. The one guy that I actually want to play in this game is a guy that's kind of failed us. And I ended up just looking at the game logs also. So Taurean Prince, he's been just this is the way I'm going to describe this. He's been just god-awful from the field, like 1 for a billion. And with the exception of this 19-minute game, like all of these performances, like 21 points, while you're not going to win anything with it, I consider that like his floor. You know what I mean? Like, I think like his floor is a 5X here, and I think he's a really decent little 4,100 guy to throw in here because, I mean, what if he doesn't go 1 for 7 or 5 for 14? And he's better than that. I mean, I don't know how good he is, but he's certainly better than that. So believe it or not, this is where I'm going. I'm not going for I'm not going to play either Dinwiddie or LeVert. I actually do think I'm not going to predict blowouts, but I think, especially if LeBron plays, I think this is actually going to be a rough game for Brooklyn. I just do. So I'm not going to go with LeVert and Dinwiddie. I'm not going to choose between the two of them. I'm just going to probably play Taurean Prince.
Yeah, I'll play a tiny bit of LeVert and Dinwiddie. I think that if LeBron's out, like at least you can make an argument. I do think it's a tough game for them, but I'm just not going to stop playing. Like if people were going to be on these guys, they're going to be on Dinwiddie again. So here's the big thing. So the Nets had a team meeting over the weekend after the coach was fired. I can't remember if it was after or before. But basically, Dinwiddie acknowledged, and they all told him that, hey, you got to pass the ball more. You got to set up the offense. You're not playing good team basketball right now. Play like the guy you were last year. I didn't hear anything negative about LeVert. Apparently, DeAndre Jordan was fairly vocal and now is starting, which is just annoying to me. I mean, he could have a game here. It's really weird to play the much, much inferior player. It makes no sense what they're doing, to be honest with them. Like, I mean, it really makes no sense. And it's all because of KD being a little BI. You know what? KD is like the worst human being, I feel like.
Was it him or Kyrie or both?
People could say Kyrie too. Yeah, sure. Kyrie is also showing his things. But I just think KD, I was going to use both of them, but they're both just get out of here. Like, it's ridiculous.
And meanwhile, they interviewed LeVert, and LeVert's like, I have no problem with him. He's my bro. LeVert was saying that about the coach.
Oh, about Kenny Atkinson. Like Kenny Atkinson did a great job. This guy was like the trendy, like upswing coach of in all of the NBA. And
LeVert says, they said, Karras, do you think that he like lost the locker room? I was like, I don't think so. Fine by me.
It didn't really make a lot of sense either. They're also in the middle of a playoff hunt. Like the whole thing is bizarre. I think the truth is the only reason it happened is because DeAndre Jordan wasn't starting. I really do. And I think that's a
really.
Yeah, because so that's what they did. KD and Kyrie organized it so Jordan could join them there. They signed him for this really stupid contract for making $10 million a year when he literally is not even like he's an adequate backup, I guess. For some teams, he's not even that good of a backup. He's so bad defensively right now. Jared Allen, this is the guy you got to develop, who's extremely talented. Never is really given a chance to play more than 24 freaking minutes. Just makes no sense. Just disgusting. I don't like how. Look, stars flexing and doing what they think is best for the team, it's one thing. But doing it to get their buddy both paid and then now featured, like, get out of here. But Taurean Prince, I'm totally with you, is the best play on that side of the ball. 4,100, and he's been terrible. I think that he's a guy they should be utilizing a lot more offensively than they have been. He did play 28 minutes the first game with the coach, which is, not that different, but was scaring us a little bit when he was down in the 20 to 24 range for a little bit. But I like him at these 29, 29 to 28 to 32 minutes. I think he's just like a really solid value. I don't think it's overwhelmingly exciting. I think there's definitely upside there. I don't think it's the great matchup for it, but can he get you 30 here? Yeah. Does he get you 25 here? I think a good portion of the time. I would say probably he does. So that makes him a decent value. And I'm all over Anthony Davis on the other side. I kind of hope just from that perspective that we don't know about LeBron. I actually like Anthony Davis if LeBron does play. I will build some things out of my script because we don't know in advance, assuming that Rajon Rondo, will end up starting at point guard which is what happened last time. Yeah, but other than that, it's sort of a mind F to try and figure out these exact minutes and where they'll go. Like any of these guys, like Danny Green or Avery Bradley, could have a game, but it just doesn't feel like
you could keep it. You know what I mean? I just think there are other ways you could go that are a little more solid, I think, than going with those guys.
But if you did play one of these late guys, like some of these late games with both the Portland game and then this one, maybe out of the blue Kuzma gets a start. You know what I mean? Like, it's not impossible that happens, especially.
Well, Kuzma's actually a good player too. I mean, like he's a.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, he's an interesting player.
He shoots the ball.
He's definitely a shooter. I like that about him. He'll definitely shoot. He'll be out there shooting with the best of them.
And if LeBron is out, he's got a better chance to shoot because LeBron hates it.
Yeah. Well, that was the funny part. The reason he was the rookie they kept was because supposedly LeBron liked playing alongside him better than the other guys. But yeah, I mean, and as a really weird thing to do, maybe you can come up with a 2v2 swap in these last two games and play a LeBron lineup. Because the one thing is he's going to be completely unknown. There is the MVP thing going on. So if he plays, I expect him to have a big game. I still prefer Davis, but I expect LeBron to have a big game. So if you can come up with a 2v2 where you can swap from LeBron down to Davis, then maybe you play. I guess you might have to pick maybe you have a Whiteside and instead of Whiteside you go down to Rubio or something like that. Something like that. I'm just throwing out ideas here. It could be either way.
So what is your take? In other words, so we went through this, and so you have a guy like Shaq Harrison who you would think to be really, really highly owned. He's projecting to be really highly owned. His projections are really good. But how is it actually going to work out? In other words, I think that, like you said, there's so many plays you can make that on the one hand, you say you don't have to really worry about ownership too much. It's going to be spread out. So do you think, number one, that Shaq Harrison actually becomes a little less, maybe like 20, 25%? Or
I would be surprised if he doesn't drop from where we currently have. Like, he's already dropped since we started the show.
Well, it's to the point that if, in fact, he does stay like at 40%, I definitely want to come in under on him.
Yeah, that's a little bit where I'm at too. And, yeah, I'm with you. I would rather play the other guys we mentioned beneath him in price at a fraction of the ownership, who I all believe have probably a higher ceiling, but just don't necessarily have a higher minute ceiling. That's really all you're playing him for is these minutes. And I know he's been good lately, but like he's not the long-term answer there. You can automatically account for the fact that by the way, if Kobe White's starting now, what is Shaq Harrison is he even starting anymore?
Shaq Harris?
Yeah. Is there a chance he plays like 20 minutes tonight? Like there is, I think.
Sounds good to me.
I mean, think about all these guys the Bulls have. Carter's going to play 28 minutes. Porter's going to play at least 25 minutes. Markkin's going to play at least 27. Kobe White's going to play at 500. They'll get Satoransky and Valentine minutes for sure. I don't even know that Harrison's going to end up out minuting I just don't. They don't need. What position does he even fit into? Is he now he's the two guard? I guess, even though that's the one position he's not eligible for.
I don't know. I think Markkin and Porter back are going to really just.
Markkin and Porter, Carter, and then you've got White starting, so that takes away all the starters' usage. So if he is starting, he's actually a worse play. It's kind of weird. You know what I mean? Like, how is he going to get any usage in this team with those four guys on the court?
By the way, I don't know if you noticed. You notice Bradley Beal's back to shooting guard only eligible.
I mean, so automatically, that's why I can actually, for once, I'll have less Beal than well, I still have some of them, but I have less than usual.
Yeah.
I mean, Harrison also, we're going to bet on like another 6-7 stock game. Sure, it's possible. It's tough, man. It's a tough one because I really want to just fade him and just say that's it. But
I promise you. Okay, this is what I promise you: is that if I do a single entry, if I did one lineup, he would not be in it.
Okay, fair enough. I can 100% back that up. I'm with you on that.
And if I did 50 lineups, he's going to be in some of them. How about that?
That's it. That's where I'm at too. And we're, so here we go. I'm just gonna real quick go through some of the ownership guys that I've come up with both before and during the show. I have Anthony Davis as my currently highest owned player, followed by, this is the problem, you'll hear it in just a second because all these guys cost too much to fit them in. But I have Anthony Davis, Damian Lillard, Russell Westbrook. Then I have Wendell Carter, Andre Drummond, DeRozan, Paul George, Elfrid Payton. Then you get into the Doncic, Luke, Shaq Harrison, 30%-ish range, 25%, whatever. Taurean Prince, Troy Brown Jr., Oladipo, Kristaps, those guys. So I'm going to have to obviously narrow down the field a little bit, but this should be a good first look because it's going to be an interesting slate, and I'm expecting for some late information to change things. So when that happens, hit us up on YouTube. Don't DM me, but at me on Twitter or at Sheets on Twitter, and we'll answer some questions for you guys there. And come join us for the QL TV show at 4 Eastern time. And Sheets, anything before we get out of here?
Nope.
All right, let's kill it tonight, guys. We're feeling better. Everything's good. This is the night we take down a big one. Let's do it.
All right.